is the great Florida blustery day. It rained so much last night, and my garden is very happy for it. I love water drops on plant leaves. It just, I don't know, makes me happy. Even my little guy here over here in the plant nursery is looking happier for all that rain. Nice. Woo. We have goodies. It's not all that exciting. I mean, to you guys, it probably won't be all that exciting. Ow. It is exciting to me, though. Okay, that. Oh, that's the thing right there. Hold on, I'm gonna need to get a knife. And then I got an electric toothbrush. That's it. But this here is we'll just move that over there. You don't need to care about my toothbrush. But this here is very exciting, at least to me, and is the theme of today's video. So, ow! Also, there will be a lot of owing. You guys are going to be like, oh, that was it. Should be two. Yeah, it's two of them. Ow. All right. Give me 1 second and I will explain. So good morning, my darlings. Welcome to conversation 15 of 100. And if you're new to the channel, welcome. And thank you so much for subscribing. You guys are really surprising me with that and for your kind comments. I appreciate you all. I'm very grateful for this opportunity to connect with you all every day. And I'm very grateful that there's been a nice response. So thank you. And wherever you are in the world today, I hope that you're feeling loved and seen and blessed and safe. Thought I'd mix it up. Anyway, so we shall now talk about the ace bandage in the room. I can't tell you what I did. I woke up and no, I wasn't tossing and turning last night. I slept on my back with my hand, like this. And I woke up and I'm in so much pain in my wrist. So I've wrapped it. That's as far as I've gotten. It's still early. We'll go from there. I'm going to do some healing work on it. Amy's coming over again today, so I will chat with my smart friend and I'll figure it out. But for right now, I have it wrapped because it hurts. When I first woke up, I thought, oh, that's weird, but that it would go away, but it hasn't. So we're going to deal with it. I'm not changing my plans entirely, though, because of it. We're going to attempt to do this sort of one-handed. What I want to do, I know this was like a bad day for it. A conversation wouldn't have required my wrist, but no, I decided last night that I wanted to try this new recipe and I was going to take you guys with me. So this is a very simple, otherwise I would have not done it. It's very, very simple. We're going to see how it works. It's effectively Jenny Middage, who is a carnivore YouTuber. I will link her video and her book down below. She wrote a book last year and it's got a lot of recipes in it, carnivore recipes in it. So I love that. And she did a video the other day about this. She made it with buttermilk ranch. We're not going to do that. I was considering it, but no. But I am going to make these chips. They're pepperoni chips and I'm really excited to see how they turn out because I use pepperoni a lot as like my snacky food. So we're going to go over here to the oven. I got all my ingredients out. I was going to shred cheese for this. I am not now. So I'm going to hopefully, so this might not turn out as well as hers. I've got some sliced cheese. I'm going to tear it into pieces. We're just going to go for it. We're going to go for it. We're going to see how it works out. All right. So we'll do this and then we'll have a conversation. All right. Now this is literally 2 ingredients and 5 minutes. That's the other reason why I wanted to do it. So now she said it only works with the thin pepperoni, and I will tell you right off the bat, this is not thin pepperoni. So I have so many things going against me here, but I just wanted to get a feel for it. I'm definitely going to get thinner cut pepperoni when I go to the deli. I'm going to the grocery store tonight. Oh, and I shall try not to lament to you all. Wow. First thing I'm trying and I can't get the thing in. I'm going to try not to lament to you all about the grocery prices in tomorrow's conversation. Try. I said I'm going to try. I've got, like I said, I've got that meat delivery service I'm considering trying. But my guys also suggested that, like, for the next week or so, because we're still trying to do that car repair for Ari, so money's still a little tight. So they suggested, since I love that roast so much, if I just bought 2 of those roasts and cooked them up, like not at the same time, do one and then once it's gone do the other, that would probably, feed me for this week anyway. And I've got some eggs still in the fridge. I think I've still got 1 pack of bacon. So hopefully my groceries, if I do that, my groceries won't be that bad. Although if I get pepperoni, we'll have to see. Yeah, some of these don't want to stay down inside the cup, which is annoying me. But anyway, I shall put that away later. Now we will use, I do have this. When you're doing shredded baking stuff, you want to make sure it's whole milk mozzarella. It just melts better. Like if you go to the part skim, that stuff just doesn't melt right. So I do have some of this. We'll see how far it goes. Effectively, I mean, it's just this. I've been preheating the oven to 400. But it's supposedly just, like this. You put the pepperonis in the muffin pans. You put the cheese on the pepperoni. You stick it in the oven for 5 minutes. I mean, how simple is that? If this works, how simple will that be for a snack? This excites me, so hold good thoughts. Otherwise, you're about to see me terribly disappointed. I got almost all the way with the shredded. So I'm going to try. I have this mozzarella that they sell at Publix. It's herb encrusted. It's so good. And it's especially good with pepperoni. That's usually how I make my snacks. So we're going to put this in here. Although I don't know if I'm going to be getting this anymore. I'm educating myself on things as I stay carnivore. And I was just reading the other day about effectively the vegetarian safe cheese, because they don't use the rennet. Is that what it is? Rennet? Which is apparently comes from the lining of a calf's stomach. And I hate all of that. It's been one of the interesting things about my carnivore journey is learning more and more about how food is processed and created in our modern age. And some of it is horrifying. And this is an Onion Jack, which is the best cheese I've ever had in my life, which again, I'm going to have to look into and see. I'm going to have to look into that and see. Because what I don't want is the fake. The rennet is bad enough, but I don't want the fake rennet from Pfizer. So, not to be unkind, but, I am who I am, and who I am is a little suspicious of pharmaceutical companies. I'm not saying that there isn't wonderful advances in science and that medicines haven't helped people tremendously, saved people's lives. I'm just saying, at this stage of the game, I feel a little suspicious of it. It seems a little out of control. So, I don't think I want to purposely be eating something that fake. Still working on that. I'm still deciding it. That's one of the things, like I said, about the carnivore thing for me is I've been doing so much research into our food. And some of the things that I've learned have truly been very dark and have probably made me more suspicious of things that even aren't dark. And I try to watch out for that because I'm not trying to go down a crazy person rabbit hole. I got enough crazy in my life without adding to it. But like I said, this carnivore journey, it really forces you to look at your food and what you're actually putting into your body. And which has been a good thing because there are things that I've seen that I'm like, I will never eat that again. And that's a good thing because I probably shouldn't have been eating it in the first place. I'm waiting for the oven to preheat, and once that little chime goes off, then we'll put these in the oven. So, oh, wow. You see those? Oh my goodness. So you're supposed to take them out now and let them cool. And we're gonna have to do this sort of oddly backwards from how I would ordinarily do this. But if it works, I'm pleased. And that's the thing, I didn't mention at the beginning of this, you don't need to grease this because look at all the grease from the pepperoni. It does the job. All right, there they are. And even if they don't turn out exactly like hers, I'm very pleased with these. We're gonna let them cool off. And then we shall try them at the end of the conversation. Let's go talk, and then I'll come back at the end and we'll give these a try. Okay, so I'm excited. I think those look really good. They smell really good, and I'm excited to try them out. And like I said, stick around to the end of the video because we will try them out before I cut this off. So how are you guys today? We are on conversation 15. That's crazy. I've done 15 conversations in a row. I'm quite proud of myself because almost every morning I wake up and think, I have nothing to say. I look like an idiot. Why am I doing this? I don't want to do this anymore. But, you know, I'm really good at sticking to my commitments when I make them. So, but here we are, conversation 15. So, of course, out of 100, so there's still a ways to go. So, what I was saying earlier about carnivore and about researching things, I want to share this, which if you are carnivore, you probably know this already, but if you're not carnivore, you might not know this. And this was probably the thing that made me the angriest, is probably the way to put it. Anger is but I was angry, yeah. So it's a weird word for me because when I think of anger, to me, it's like I think of like, I'm so mad, I'm gonna go do something. Well, I guess I did do something. I changed my diet. But I talked to enough people, I watched enough YouTube videos, and I read enough reports online to realize that all of the studies that we have based nutrition on in this country anyway, since like the 50s and 60s, they're all skewed studies. There isn't really a good study out there on whether or not meat is good or bad for you, butter is good or bad for you. The studies that everybody quotes are usually studies that have been paid for by big food. Of course, they weren't big at the time. I guess they were up and coming food. And results, like when they say people who eat meat are however many percentage more likely to die of heart disease than people who don't eat meat, those studies, a lot of the time, the way they were conducted, they didn't take any other factor in those people's lives into consideration. Like, if they were eating McDonald's, they considered that red meat. So if you were living off of a diet consisting of nothing but fast food, they put you down in the red meat category. And like ignoring all of the other factors to, processed food and seed oils. I saw a report came out recently, yesterday, day before, something like that, that's talking about how seed oils are better for you than butter, and you are 15% more likely to die from like all-cause mortality if you eat butter as opposed to seed oils. And I don't know how much you know about seed oils, but seed oils are bad. In fact, I heard one person say that we didn't even have heart attacks until we had seed oils. Like they were non-existent until we had seed oils. And
a lot of our seed oils, I think it's canola oil, started as it was either cleaning carburetors, or it was used in some kind of automotive process, but to do with the carburetors. I am not your science person here. I'm not coming to you with hard facts. We're chatting, and I'm just telling you some of the things that I know. But yeah, canola oil, I think that's where that started. And then, they refined it more and then put it in our diets. And I get really upset. I get really upset at being lied to and misled intentionally, particularly so you can make money. Makes me really angry. And I don't get angry much about many things. Most of the time, anything that comes up, I'm like, I can see both sides of it, and I'm like, I don't agree with you, but I understand why you feel that way, and you have a right to feel the way you feel and think the way you think, as long as you are not hurting other people, as long as you're not being a hateful, awful person to other people or person. Feel the way you feel. Work through that yourself. That's your journey, and I can respect that. But if you're hurting people, and particularly if you're hurting people to make money, I don't have any grace for that. I don't. So this particular study, I will link a video down below that I watched a couple nights ago, recently. I watched recently on this exact topic, on this exact study, and he goes through it, like note for note, why this study is suspect and why all the studies are a little bit suspect. And again, I said this the other day in one of my carnivore videos that, the really good study that we were supposed to get on carnivore, finally, at the end of last year, they chose not to release the results of. And that... Anyway, I'm not really trying to take us down a carnivore rabbit hole, and I'm certainly not trying to convince you to be carnivore if you are not carnivore. You do you. You've got to follow your heart and do what's right. But I've researched enough to tell you that the food supply and the things that we've been told, it's all suspect. So do some research. That's all I'm going to tell you. It's like, do some research of your own, and research from people from different areas, not just from like the one chain of evidence, because they will just continually produce studies to support what they say. But there is enough evidence out there to say that these guys are maybe not being the most honest. So that's for what it's worth out there, you guys. But yeah, other than that, yeah, life is good, right? Life is good. And I don't have a whole lot to say today, to be honest with you. Probably because I feel like I went a little overboard in sharing yesterday. Okay, next subject. I want to thank my friend Angie. Okay, she commented on yesterday's video. It's just kind of dumb on my part. She reminded me that I live in Celebration, which is on Disney property. So I did grow up to live at Disney World, in Disney World. On land that Walt Disney purchased. And how freaking cool is that? And I know it, but when I was talking about it in yesterday's video, I was thinking mostly about Golden Oak, because Golden Oak was that moment for me that I went like, oh my gosh, people have not had my back, people have not supported my dreams, people have lied to me. Not really, but it wasn't out of ill intent. It's who the people around me have been, or had been, in my life. My family had even been this way. My poor grandfather on my mom's side, he's got a wife, 2 daughters, 3 granddaughters. And all of us were a little bit crazy. My grandmother had psychic gifts. I did, but didn't realize it. I don't know. Nobody else in the family ever claimed to. So I don't know what was going on with anybody else. But we were all very dreamy, a little flighty. My mom was a little crazy. And my grandfather, coming from that era, was in charge of all these women and was probably scared for us a lot of the time. And I think that a lot of his cruelty came from that, you know. And that's not to excuse some of the things that he did, but, or, you know, to say that I'm so glad for the impact he made on my life. But I mean, I am, but I'm also not, because he was the big one that was always, you know, get your head out of the clouds. He was that person. And I understand why. But I do sometimes wonder who I would be today if I'd been encouraged to dream when I was younger. I really do. I got into CalArts, you know, when I was 18 or whatever. And rather than suggest to me that there was such a thing called scholarships, my grandfather was just like, there's no money for that. You can't go to that school. So, and it honestly wasn't until a few years later that I understood what scholarships were. Because again, it's like, I wasn't raised for higher education. That wasn't a thing that was ever talked about when I was growing up. On my dad's side of the family, I imagine it probably was or would be, because I know at least 2 of my cousins on that side went to college and got degrees. So it's interesting to me, the split in my family dynamics. And it's like, I do understand why the marriage between my parents did not work. Let's just say that. Anyway, I'm going down a rabbit hole again. Shocking, right? But thank you, Angie. Thank you for reminding me of that fact, because I don't know that I thought about it in exactly that way, connected to that story. So look at me. I did it. My dream of living, you know, I mean, at Disney World, obviously that's been for a while now, because in the apartment that I shared with Amy, we could literally see the castle from the parking lot. So we were, you know, and you could hear people screaming on Big Thunder, and you could, you know, the fireworks were right over our head, like that vulture is right now. Gosh, he's beautiful. Anyway, you know, so I have lived at Disney for quite some time, but this is a little different, as in this is actual land that Walt Disney bought for his Florida project. And I hadn't thought of it like that before. And that is really special. It was really special. So thank you, Angie. Okay, they have cooled now. And they are pretty, pretty solid. Okay. I'm having camera issues because I tried to do it with this hand. Anyway, all right. I'm not expecting to get the crunch that she got with hers, but I think that's because I didn't use the thin pepperonis. But I still think, yeah, they're not crispy. Like hers were really crispy, like chips. Mine are not. Oh my gosh. But they are really good. Really good. Super easy. Wait, hold please. Okay, that's delicious. I tried one with the herbed mozzarella. That is ridiculously good. So it might be good to put a little, obviously if you're really strict carnivore, you don't use spices and seasonings, but if you're not really strict carnivore, a little bit of Italian seasoning on those would have been really nice. And she might have actually done that on hers. I can't remember. But like I said, hers came out really crisp. But again, she said it had to be the thin cut pepperoni, and that is not what I had. So I'm going to buy those tonight at the store, and I'm going to try this again. But I will link everything down below if you want to give it a try. It was completely tasty just the way I just did it. And I can imagine with like different flavored cheeses. Like, it took 5 minutes. You know, like seriously, like this is a really good, quick, and very satisfying snack, especially if you're struggling with any kind of cravings, or you've had a really bad day and you just want to comfort food yourself. That is really good. All right, you guys, I am just going to go ahead and wrap this up here. I do have a lot to do today, just like housekeeping, although I don't know how it's going to go. You can see me now cleaning my bathtub. I am, the weird irony is that I am technically left-handed. But my grandmother read an article when I was about 4 or 5 years old that said more juvenile delinquents were left-handed than right-handed, and she made my mother change me to right-handed. So I am trained to be right-handed, but it's funny because I notice like if I'm just doing something naturally, I'm left-handed still. Like when I learned to crochet, I had to learn to crochet left-handed
because it wasn't working for me right-handed. And when, I eat with people in the booths and things, it's like because I cut my meat backwards from most people, I'm always banging elbows with people. It's just all sorts of weird little oddities like that. Anyway, those are delicious. Highly recommend. I am going to remember to link all of this down below. And I hope that your Thursday is wonderful for you guys. I will be back again, obviously, tomorrow. God knows what we will talk about then. But until then, be well and be blessed. And I'll see you tomorrow. I just realized the whole time I was doing that, my poinsettia was in the sink. I put her in here last night to get a good water. The first thing I should have done when I went to cook was step 1, remove poinsettia from sink.